Hello everyone, welcome back to another Albion online video. And what exactly are we going to be doing today? Well, this is no other than the best ways to avoid gankers when transporting or playing the game. Now, gankers are everywhere, so it's very important that you know how to avoid them the best you can, and if they do find you, how you can successfully not die.
Hey, old man, give me everything.
Call an ambulance! Call an ambulance! But not for me!
Now, there's 1,001 different ways and different sets of what you can take, but personally, the ones I'm going to show you guys are my favorite ones and the ones I also use for my transports. Now, there's two sets. There's the set for heavy mounts, so mounts that carry very heavy resources, and then there's the light set, which is a set for mounts that if you get dismounted, you can still walk. Something that a lot of people know is that the gear you wear also reflects on your mount's HP. In this case, we are wearing armor, so we don't get dismounted by the ganker. However, if we decide to go without armor, like in this clip we're watching right now, we'll see that we get very easily dismounted by the ganker. So always make sure to wear armor when transporting. Regarding the armor we're going to use, we're going to start off by a broadsword. Now, the only thing that matters here is that you have Iron Will, which basically increases your movement speed and makes you unpurgeable. Then our next item is the offhand, which a lot of people don't use, but I like to use the Sacred Scepter, which pretty much increases your crowd control resistance. Your Soldier Helmet, which basically makes you immune to all crowd control and damage for 2.5 seconds. Your Judicator Armor, that basically increases your resistances by 74, as well as doesn't lock you in combat if you use it. Minor Boots, which basically increase your max load carrying capacity and your movement speed by 120%, which are very fundamental for you to use. Your first Sterling Cape, which pretty much cleanses all the crowd control or the first crowd control you encounter. And probably the most two important pieces of equipment, the Gigantify Potion, which increases your max load, as well as your health and makes you immune to forced movement. And the Meat Pie, which increases your max load by 30%. Now, as you guys see, for the whole duration of the build, the objective here is just to stay alive and be able to move if you do get dismounted. Now, the next build, it's the light mounts build. Now, this is very similar to the one we just showcased, but there's one little difference, which is the presence of, instead of the Judicator Armor, the Mistwalker Jacket, which basically makes you invincible and invisible for 5 seconds. So it means that you will not take any damage during this time, and that's why it is so good if you are getting ganked. Now, what exactly it's important to know if you're using these builds? Well, the combo you're gonna have to do in order to run away from the gankers, it's always gonna be the same. So you're gonna press W for your Iron Will, you're gonna press your Geek Potion, you're gonna press your boots, and you're gonna run away as far as you can from the gankers. Now, you will be unpurgeable, and you won't be able to be pushed away because you use your Geek Pod. So you can just run away safely and try to make it to an exit, to a dungeon, to anywhere that you can escape the gankers. Now, it's also very important that we know when to use our mount skill, since we're using the Giant Horse. In this case, it makes us immune to slows and CC. So in this case, I use it to avoid the poison pot, slow, and go backly safe to Carlion. Now, on the next clip, we're going to be showcasing you guys what is transporting to Carlion like and the things that you have to be mindful when doing so. The first thing you have to be very mindful of is the scout. That a lot of the times is on the entry. This guy is going to pretty much tell the gankers where you're going. So what I like to do is I bait going southeast exit, but I actually end up going northwest. Now, what was the issue here is that they had another scout on the southeast exit, so they knew I wasn't going that way. So I know the gankers are only going to gank me in Mardale, if there are any, so I can make my way through Ronald pretty safely. Now, as soon as I zone in, you'll see that I encounter 5 PKs. So this is the moment where you have to make a decision. Do we turn back or do we commit? In this case, we took our chances as there are only 5 and I think we can take them, and they won't be able to dismount us on time of us getting to safety. Now, I know this ganker is by fact pinging to the other gankers my exact position, so I'm trying to make my movement as unpredictable as possible. I go through the outpost, which a lot of times end up aggroing the attackers. In this case it didn't because they are not outlaw. And I always try to be as unpredictable as possible. Now, if there's a moment to not panic, it's when you see gankers dismounted. Now, here you have to make another decision. I am super close to the gate, and I know by fact that they are not able to dismount me in time, especially if they're using low tiers as they are, with pretty bad synergy. Now, there's a little trick that I do here, which is I don't want to zone instantaneously. Why is that? Because if I zone instantaneously, it means that there are some people who are going to have mount and they're going to be able to catch me. But since everyone attacked me, it means that everyone is locked in combat and they are not mounted when they zone out. So as soon as I zone out, I know for a fact that I'm safe and they won't be able to catch me in the zone because this is only half a map and they have to mount up, catch up to me, dismount, and attack me. Now this is pretty much impossible to do in such a short distance, and I can just make my way downtown without any stress, using my ability, don't lock me in combat. They're gonna try to dismount on top of me, but I know by fact that they're not able to. I even tell them goodbye, be a nice friend. And now something that a lot of people don't know is that the bubble of Carleon, it's not only in the center, so you can go for the outskirts of the bubble and still make it Carleon safe. The next clip is me transporting through the black zone to my hideout with about 50 million on my back, now with a gallant horse instead of a elite winter bear. First thing that I do as soon as I zone is I see a scout, so I know I'm in for a ride. Ideally, when you see a scout, you should always turn back as it's probably safer, but I am pretty confident on my skills of not getting ganked, so I keep going. Eventually, I meet the gankers that the scout belonged to, and I start making my way back because I know that if I get back to the road where I come from, I will be safe. In this case, we are going to be seeing on our north side of the screen the first ganker dismounted. Now, he hits me with a poison, so I'm going to press my boots before he even poisons me, so I don't lose my sprint. The mace is going to proc my Fort Sterling, is going to stun me, and it's going to chain me, so I know I have to avoid this. In order to do this, I go into a rock, so I get body blocked. Now, I'm trying to buy as much time as I can, so my mount comes back. I use my Mistwalker jacket, I'm going to use my soldier helmet afterwards, and then I'm going to zone out. I never hit anyone, so I'm not locked in combat. Now, I'll wait for my mount, which luckily it's only on 10 seconds cooldown because we waited those extra seconds after being dismounted. So we can mount up back again, go back to the road of Avalon where we come from, and safely avoid the gankers. So, what exactly are the most important things when you're trying to avoid the gankers? Well, first of all is always be calm. The moment you start overreacting and panicking, you're going to do the wrong decision and that's going to end up with you dead. So, always remain calm. The second is have an objective. Know where you're going and what is your end game when you're getting ganked. If you're trying to zone out, if you're trying to get to a dungeon, you should always have this in mind when this is happening. And probably the last and most important rule when you're doing this is always transport something that you can afford to lose. This being said, don't put all your eggs in one basket, because if you die, it's going to be a huge pain getting back up. Which takes us to our last point, which is this is just a game and it's meant to be fun. So if you do die, take it easy, don't stress too much about it, and you'll probably make your money back soon. That being said, that is it for me. Thank you so much, and as usual, Nendys out.